And the Biden administration is on track to making the COVID vaccine available to every American. Tonight, Johns Hopkins University is reporting more than 183 million Americans have now received at least one dose of a vaccine. But to get the vaccine or to not get the vaccine, for some is still the big question. And we wanted people who were vaccine hesitant to hear from both sides of the medical aisle to determine if getting the vaccine is the right choice for you. BNC Chief Medical Editor Dr. Corey Hebert and infectious disease expert and virologist Dr. Lane Rowling are here to break it all down for us. Good evening. Welcome back to you both, Dr. Hebert and Dr. Lane Rowling.
Good to be here.
Good to see you. Good to see you guys again.
Good to see you.
Sunday night.
Good to see you both again tonight as well. So doctors, this fear doesn't just stem from the Tuskegee experiments talking about the hesitancy here. It also stems from racial bias and disparities in healthcare. What can healthcare officials do to rebuild trust in our community, especially when it comes to the vaccines? And Dr. Rowland, will go with you first.
Well, I think the most important thing, and I've been talking about this for a year and a half, it comes down to one thing, that's community education, where you have to go to and see Big Mama in the Mississippi Delta and explain to her what this virus is. That is the biggest problem, that we've had all these people jump into a lane that they're not trained in, and nobody's got the correct information. So what we have to have is basic understanding. Hey, what is this virus? How do you contract this virus? What's the long-term objective? And you're absolutely right. When you start talking about trying to have confidence in something, it's a reality in America. From the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, from them cutting out black females' vaginals and without anesthesia, Dr. Simpson, Alabama. We can go on and on about the history of why people are very hesitant. Even the Indians on reservations, where the Army gave smallpox blankets 150 years ago. So we have to go back to the basics. Explain to people what the virus is, how do you contract the virus? And when we say contract the virus, we're not talking about respiratory. We're talking about respiratory, we're talking about secretions, and we also talk about feces as that way. Well, you're gonna get the vaccine, how do we know that we have antibodies? Well, you better have an antibody test, a rapid antibody test, because you have to measure. It's like, Dr. Rowland, I'm gonna go get my vaccination tomorrow. They inject me, then I come back in 21 days, get another injection. Do I really have antibodies? Well, there's a test out there called a rapid antibody test that you need to take before you get the vaccination to see if you've been exposed. Do you have antibodies in the community? And then when you get the vaccination, you better be getting an antibody rapid test every 3 months, 6 months, 9 months to measure. If they're telling you that the antibodies last 81 days, let's see it and let the science show you, because there are rapid antibody tests. That's how you protect the community, build confidence in the community, and not be talking about wear a mask, don't wear a mask. Because I can tell you right now, go ahead and don't wear a mask getting vaccinated. I promise you're not going to be around when you get infected with the Brazil strain or the South Africa strain or the Indian mutation strain. So it comes down to basic education, period.
And Dr. Hebert, we'll have you respond to that as well.
Yeah, it's the message and the messenger that's most important. We know that just because a person has a degree in something, sitting at a table with a bunch of white people at a university or at a firm of any sort, that's not going to mean that they would be able to give that message of trust and the ability for the community to really grab a hold of what's actually happening here. What we do know is a few things. We do know that when we do the wash up, mask up, separate, and vaccinate, we will decrease the numbers. Now, Dr. Rowling actually mentioned about the antibodies, and these are called neutralizing antibodies. That's what he's referring to. And what you have to remember is that those antibodies are the antibodies that we must have. Just because you have antibodies, that doesn't mean that those antibodies will be the neutralizing antibodies that will cause you to be able to fight off this infection. So that's why, as we have done the vaccine trials, as we started them many months ago, we measure those neutralizing antibodies every week on people that are on the study. And we've had over 100,000 people in these studies between the Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Moderna studies. And so we do measure those neutralizing antibodies, and we have had them for extended periods of time now. As a principal investigator for these trials, we know that these neutralizing antibodies are lasting, but we really truly don't know how long they're going to last. But the reality is that as the months go on, we are checking, and this is the problem here. You can risk saying that these vaccines and these antibodies aren't going to last long. We know how long they last up to now, but you also can risk saying, I'm not going to get this shot, and I'm an overweight African-American person with hypertension, diabetes, and have no access to health care, and then take your chances. And that's the problem. Now, when we start talking about this, we have to remember, sure, we have vaccine hesitancy, but you have to trust the Black people that are at the head of this to say, should I take this vaccine? And where I am is I have taken the vaccine. I feel fine. My family's taken the vaccine. My community's taken the vaccine because I've been boots on the ground leading the African-American community for 25 years. So they trust me. And that's where I tend to stand.
And we have to run, but just in one quick second, both of you in 10 seconds. So Dr. Hebert just said he took the vaccine. Dr. Lane Rowling, would you take the vaccine, and how long if not?
Well, I wouldn't take any of these vaccines. The vaccine I'm going to take is called COVAX, COVAXX, that has 32,000 levels of neutralizing antibodies. And that is a game changer with a different platform, because these vaccines, Pfizer, Johnson, et cetera, are made off of the Wuhan strain, have nothing to do with the African strain or the Brazil strain. You have to make a brand new vaccine. But COVAX itself is a multi-tope polypeptide, which covers a lot more. And everybody needs to understand that you're not getting 1 or 2 Johnson vaccinations. You will be getting a 3 or 4 boosters over the next year for the next 50 years, because if any coronavirus, there is no immunity.
The Moderna vaccine just came out to say that they are effective against both California strains and the H1N1 vaccine, strain out of Britain. So, you have to.
We know y'all want to both battle it out, and I hate to interrupt you, but I know we got to bring y'all back. See, people are interested in hearing what you both have to say, but we got to run. If y'all both can give us, our viewers, the promises that you will come back, we will definitely bring you back so you can finish off this debate.
As long as God's got, I will be back, because that's my responsibility to bring the real information to the Black community, because we need folks are really reliable in the science. I will be back anytime. 3 o'clock in the morning in the jungles of Peru, I would jump out of an airplane.
Dr. Hebert and Dr. Lane Rowling, we got to go. But we appreciate both of your time, and we are going to get back to some of those viewer questions that people submitted and you guys answer. I promise we'll bring you back. Thank y'all both for your time tonight.
Guys, take care. Super night. God bless. Take care, guys.
Same
Bye-bye.
to you.